now is being unveiled. Let's go to Mark Lowen, our Italy correspondent, who's in Genoa. Mark, just talk us through what's happening today.
Well, Ben, the national anthem is now playing. The President of Italy is on the new bridge, which is just now, the inauguration is just beginning, and it's been a really extraordinarily quick construction of this bridge, just taking just over a year in a country where these infrastructure projects are usually notoriously slow. It is almost 2 years since the predecessor of this bridge collapsed tragically, killing 43 people. A part of the concrete cable stay broke, and a part of the bridge of over 200 metres cascaded to the ground, and residents and drivers were crushed by the icon of this city. Now there are various ceremonial parts of this inauguration, but notably absent are the relatives of the 43 victims. They are boycotting the ceremony. Some of them have told us that they will struggle to be able to drive across this bridge, such is the anguish that they feel. So you can see there the dignitaries standing apart with the socially distanced ceremony, of course, in this country, the first country in Europe to be overwhelmed by coronavirus. And still, the construction managed to continue throughout that outbreak. We understand that there will be a flypast soon of the Frecce Tricolore, that is the planes that leave the green, white and red smoke over the bridge in the air of the Italian flag. And it will be a ceremony that we are told will be a solemn commemoration rather than a celebration, given the tragedy that happened 2 years ago.
And Mark, just reading what the mayor of Genoa has been saying about the sort of mixed feelings, the pride in this extraordinary new bridge, which has been built so rapidly, so quickly, and which does look magnificent, but also the shame, really, about the old bridge that collapsed as a symbol of Italy's crumbling infrastructure in which so many people lost their lives.
Yes, I mean, the collapse of the bridge 2 years ago really shone a spotlight, Ben, on the state of Italy's ageing infrastructure. I have to say, not just in Italy, but also around Europe, where there were concerns about the state of bridges and viaducts. Several other viaducts have also collapsed in Italy over the years as this country has stagnated economically, but they are hoping now that the speed at which this new bridge has been built will also serve as a model, really, and a wider example of what Italy can do when it sets its mind to it. In terms of the state of the investigation, Ben, over what happened 2 years ago, well, 71 people are being investigated from the civil service, but also from the companies that were charged with overseeing the maintenance of the bridge, which stand accused of serious neglect, despite repeated warnings that the steel inside the concrete of the previous bridge was corroding. In fact, it started to corrode pretty quickly after it was opened in 1967. But the company that was in charge of maintaining it, Autostrade per l'Italia, stands accused of not maintaining that bridge. It has now been stripped of its owner, the Italian fashion giant Benetton. It's been nationalised, and it's been forced to pay compensation to the relatives of the victims. And in a country, again, where the wheels of justice move notoriously slowly, the authorities here are promising that justice and accountability will come soon. It has not, though, Ben, come as quickly as the reconstruction of the bridge.
And of course, I mean, the huge human cost of this disaster 2 years ago, 43 lives, but also an economic cost, really, Mark, with quite an economic blow to Genoa. I think it cost the city around €6 million a day in lost revenue. So they needed to get a new bridge up and running as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a vital section of the motorway system that connects France and Italy, and so the lorries having to circumvent Genoa and not drive through this bridge was costing the city, as you say, about €6 million, about £5.5 million a day. So there has been a real imperative to build it very quickly. In terms of the design and the reconstruction of the bridge, well, that's been done by the world-renowned architect Renzo Piano, who is known for buildings including the Shard in London, the Pompidou Centre in Paris, the New York Times building. He's a real star of international architecture, and he is from this city, a native of Genoa. I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and he said that he feels he's got a mixed feeling when he looks up at his beautiful steel and concrete, what he calls the ship, which sweeps across this port city. He said he feels the sadness of the tragedy that happened 2 years ago, but he obviously also feels pride. at what he has managed to create and so quickly. So you can hear there the commemoration, the trumpet being sounded, and the names of the 43 people will be read out, the victims of one of the worst infrastructure disasters in modern Italian history.
Yeah, and Mark, you mentioned the architect talking about his pride, but also I think the Prime Minister, Giuseppe Conte, has been saying it's a symbol of a new Italy rising up again. I mean, that may be overstating it, I suppose, but it clearly is an important national symbol, isn't it?
It was an icon, Ben, of this city, but it was also an icon of the wider region, and it was very well known across Italy. It was a feat of Italian engineering when it opened in 1967, because the engineer who built the previous bridge managed to do something to combine steel cable stays into a concrete structure, which was a relatively rare technique at the time. It came in this boom of Italian post-war architecture and engineering, which Italy was very, very proud of. And then, of course, Italy in later years fell into years of economic stagnation, of corruption, of things not going up in time. So they're hoping now that this will be, in a sense, will spur Italian engineering back to make this city proud once again of its new bridge. But Renzo Piano, yes, saying that when he used to drive over the old bridge when he was a little boy here, and he said that everybody loved that bridge. It was a beautiful bridge. Everybody loved it, he said, but everybody was also a little bit scared of it, a little bit frightened by the fragility of the old bridge. He has now said that the new bridge being inaugurated today should stand for 1,000 years.
All right, well, on that thought, we'll leave you. Mark Lowen, thank you very much indeed. Mark Lowen, our Italy correspondent, there for us live in Genoa. Australia.